Jamison, go back, get your guy 231 on Sorare. Here for another Sorare Stateside. We're going to do a little bit of a lot in a short amount of time. So, stock up, stock down from this past weekend where we only had 3 games. We're going to look ahead to some matchups to targets. A few guys I don't want you to panic about. Got some feedback, a lot of people like that section. And then finally, and how we're going to start is just some takeaways. Which, you know, if you're plugged in the Sorare community, you've heard takeaways from like all the guys, all the top people, right? Lots of Twitter, all these things. And honestly, everything that I have to say is positive. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but I have 3 big takeaways. So obviously, common goalkeeper and threshold is the most important, or I don't even want to go as most important. It's going to be the most talked about, and I guess people care about the most. But they have telegraphed this for a while. It's long overdue. And here's the coolest thing, okay? For a lot of people that have contacted me on Twitter, you know, or they're just starting out and they're like, oh my gosh, this is like killing the platform. Don't let it kill for you. Like, it'll kill it for you if you decide to like focus on it and decide that, you know, oh, they're taking away the threshold. Like, one, you should be playing for fun. If you're not playing for fun, then, you know, this might be a long road, right? Like, I think most of us are here because they really enjoy soccer. We enjoy, you know, playing the fantasy game, and hey, if we can make some profit while we're doing it, like, that's all the merrier. So I guess that would be step 1 with that, is focus on, I guess, the fun element and, you know, the scouting and all those things. But you have until August. Like, you have a lot of game weeks in here. So if you are just threshold grinding, I think you need to like be very, very tactical in how you do it, right? You need to be saving up and thinking about, like, okay, what's the team I can do this summer? So, you know, I think a lot is going to be MLS based because there's very few MLS breaks to go, and Asia. You know, if you go to the Argentina leagues, you're going to miss about a month. Brazil starting up soon, so you could maybe look there. There might be some values down there, but focus on those things. It's not the European time if you're threshold grinding. And now tactically save so you can get that rare goalkeeper so that when thresholds do, you know, Global All-Star D4 does change the fiat structure, right? So 25-50, and you need a rare goalkeeper to be in there, you're ready. And then upgrade along the way. You know, if all of you sudden you're like, you know, my defender sucks. You know, I ended up last weekend playing Jeff Cameron twice. There's an example of a defender that's not all that great, but, you know, he could be a good threshold grinding guy. You know, he's under 0.05. You know, hell, I have him posted right now. Hopefully he sells at this point. He's like 0.043. That's pretty cheap for a guy locked in as a center back. But if you're just grinding your thresholds, you can start adding up to 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 ETH. By that time, you'll get your goalkeeper. And hell, if you've done well, you know, like a Jeff Cameron, let's say that was 0.04. I did not expect this to be Jeff Cameron talk. But, you know, you sell him off, even if he's half the price by then, you still get that ETH back. You got your goalkeeper. Now you upgrade. Maybe you stumbled along a reward along the way. All these different things. Keep building that team up. Maybe you get a bonus at work. You love Sorare so much, now you're going to do an extra investment. All those things to build. Just don't get over... I think one of the things I've seen people do wrong that I've helped out is they just like, oh, I want this guy. Like, I want Lucas Zelarayan. He's killing it. He's like 0.7 or 0.8. And then you get like Jeff Cameron with Lucas Zelarayan, and then your forward, you don't know if he starts, and the balance is just you have a common goalkeeper, all because you just spent way too much on a high-end, awesome player, right? Like, I have Lucas Zelarayan. It's awesome. He's fantastic to have, but if you don't surround him with good players, then what good is he doing you? So just trying to, like, balance that out, go with the plan, grind out those thresholds. There is time. Now, the second big, so that's, I think, step 1 is I think it was a necessary thing, right? To get rid of the common, you know, go to the rare. Not going to hear anything bad about from me. But now you just need, if you're threshold grinding, you need to tactically attack this thing. Second thing is, and this kind of goes into combination with an August common goalkeeper going away. I think like the start of Euro season is going to be nuts in the Sorare world. There is going to be a lot of changes coming. I think D2 is going to get an upgrade. I don't remember where I saw it, but somebody in the know said, oh, they're very aware that that D2 is messed up. and they really want people to advance these super rares to keep value. So I think that's going to get a facelift. We're probably going to have more modes like, the underdogs, and I don't know why I'm blanking on the name of the specialist leagues. That's just a start of what's to come. The legends, I think they're going to see more game modes. I'm really pumped about what's to come. I'm going to be planning ahead for Europe. I'm trying to take a lot of rewards and ETH that I grind this summer and try to invest towards Europe. So I think that would be, step 2 is I think you should be very excited for what is to come in the next, weeks and months. So, D2 and those changes are big. And then finally, the MLS partnership, obviously I'm a huge MLS guy. I think it's awesome, but I kind of caveat that with what Nicola said on Joe Palm show, was they haven't even used all their leverage yet. Like, they still have more things that they could do with their licensing deals. Like, I foresee the MLS, really they're trying to be aggressive, like with the tickets, with some special promos. We'll have to see where that goes, but I think that could be really exciting this summer. I'm really hoping that they amp it up. Again, like, a lot is to come. I think, like, even if you just saw the graphics for the Sorare announcement, like, that was a well put together production. So I just think it's all positive. I'm really excited where Sorare is going. All right, let's go to stock up, stock down. Stock up, Charlotte at home. I think that's a thing. We saw them give New England fits, win 3-1. We saw them give Cincinnati, who was looking okay. I think Cincinnati's an improved team, but win 2-0. I think Charlotte at home in front of that awesome fan base, that is a thing. Also, I don't remember who put it, but someone was like, I'm really looking forward to when the Charlotte cards are minted. It's Swiderski, Kalina, and Bender, are good value plays. Those guys are not going to be cheap with how well they're doing, and with the hype around Charlotte, and their fan base. So, all 3 of those guys stock up. I think Ben Bender is going to be somebody that everybody's going to kind of want as a new up-and-coming guy. Number 1 pick, just crushing it, taking sets. So, big fan of that group. Johnny bleeping Russell, finally, stock up. He got sets back. Obviously, the goal did not come up as a set piece, but all of a sudden, his all-around and his floor was coming from a lot of those corners. That Remy Walter weird era that I'm sure Sporting Kansas City fans want to forget. That era hopefully is gone. Johnny Russell back on some sets, scored a goal. Hopefully this catapults us into getting, the Johnny Russell that we saw at the end of last season that finishes the number 1 forward in MLS on the platform, which was, a guy that you could just, plug in. He's getting 50 to 60, and then if he gets a decisive, he's in the 80s, and that's a great place to be if you are Johnny Russell owner. Tim Melia, kind of back from the dead. I had him on stock down after a really bad game for Chicago. Rebounded with a really good game at home versus Real Salt Lake. He's one of we saw a ton of purchasing him after the elimination of the common goalkeeper announcement was out. He was one of the names we saw pop up a ton as a cheap, rare goalkeeper. He's up in age. I think his contract ends at the end of the season. John's Pools camp is there. But if you're trying to ride somebody this summer, and here's kind of going back to the start of this, but if you do want to maximize rewards in Global All-Star, if you want to not only grind ETH but give yourself card chances, I really do think you need a rare goalkeeper. Tim Melia is still very cheap on a good team. If he plays like this, he will keep his job all season, so Tim Melia, stock up. Pablo Ruiz makes the list yet again. He's an all-around monster on half of set pieces for Real Salt Lake. Does a ton of defensive work. I've talked about him before. He is awesome. And then Junior Urso from Orlando. He now has 2 goals in the last 3. Give me just a quick second. All right, so to finish stock up segment, Junior Urso is my last guy in stock up. I had another goal over the weekend. I think his all-around is actually looking a lot better too. I begrudgingly or accidentally, or one of those words, but actually sold his super rare before the game week, only for him to score. So that was probably a bad sale. But goals in 2 of the last 3 games, really coming together. He was somebody I loved before the season. Thought he was a really good ETH grinder player, but not necessarily somebody that you want to rely on for awards, but he's showing that upside too. So Junior Urso, definitely stock up. Stock down, there's actually going to be 2 guys that did not start over the weekend. I think one, if you're a holder, at this point, I think that the alarm bells really do need to be sounding, unless there's a report I missed. But Sebastian Blanco, we're over a month into the season, and he has not started a game. They're using him as the super sub capacity, but as somebody that they weren't like thrilled to re-sign like a club legend, like they wanted him, but they weren't giving him the contract that he wanted. I do wonder if the club, there's more to his injury history, his knees. He had the really bad, I think it was like a hamstring in the playoffs. So Sebastian Blanco not starting, it's kind of like eerily familiar with Diego Valeri last year for Portland, who started to start out the season and started coming off the bench. You're like, okay, when is he going to come back to starting? And before the end of the season, he was barely pretty much phased out. And that was a club legend too. So I'd be really worried about Sebastian Blanco, despite him looking really good when he plays. But again, you're not spending 0.13 ETH and a starting spot. Like, you're not using up one of your midfielder spots on a guy that's going to consistently be off the bench. That just makes no sense. And then the other one is Brenner from Cincinnati. I think the fitness, it can't be fitness at this point. He's been back, then gone, then back. I just wonder if there's more to it. He's still super expensive, over 0.2. Badgie keeps starting. Brenner comes in, keeps blowing chances as well. Just wonder if there's something more there. Not somebody I'm going to be on or even close to a buy for me. Cincinnati's going to a really rough part of their schedule. So Brenner stocked down. 2 guys just to not panic about, but also you cannot start. Lucas Zelarayan is actually like potentially a great buy low candidate this is Thursday. So by Saturday, Porter came out and said he's touch and go. Doesn't want to say he's dated. Doesn't want to say he's out, but doesn't want to say he's in. He's day to day. Like, that's coach speak for like. I'm not going to tell the other team what's going on, but I'm not going to play him in my opinion. So I wonder if he's out of the squad one more time. He's under 0.7 right now. I think last sale is 0.65. If that gets under 0.6 for somebody that was just cranking out 90s to start the season, Lucas Zelarayan could be a really, really good buy. I already brought him up earlier, so but don't start him this weekend. Pedro Santos should get a big boost, should be on set pieces. Person I'm starting is super rare, so hoping he has a big game versus Nashville. And then Gustavo Bao, however you want to say it, but he wasn't in training this week. Can't imagine that all of a sudden he's going to go from no training to starting. His price is way down. I'll probably talk about my Carlos Gil buy here shortly, but I definitely have my eyes on Gustavo Bou news. It's a potential chance to. He's like around 0.4. If he's out of the squad again, I wonder if we can see some more panic selling to like 0.3. This is a proven forward in the league that's going to score a ton of goals. Has the best facilitator in MLS with him. That could be a great buy. So Gustavo Bou, do not panic sell. This is not the time to sell, but also do not start him in your lineups. All right, looking ahead for this weekend, we give you 3 matchups that I would love to target, and if I have players, they should be going in your primary lineup. First one is the last little Cincinnati run. I have Lucha Costa, captain. I have a Vasquez super rare in some lineups, but they have home versus Montreal. Montreal's defense has been absolutely horrendous to start the season out. I think just like so many teams, Cincinnati is going to be one of these differential teams that, you don't really want them on the road, but at home, with a really good fan base, they really can put up some goals and put up some numbers for you. So Cincinnati, I think, has some interesting pieces. They immediately, though, I want to say it's like at Seattle next week. They go on some road, like their schedule gets bad quick, but this might be one last time to capitalize on some of their pieces before they go into like not priority lineups. New England, they're hosting Red Bull. Now, Red Bull, like, that's not in itself like a great matchup, but I kind of want to just highlight, look at New England's schedule. Obviously, I'm driving right now, so I can't like look at it myself, but you got, home, like you got Miami in there, you have Charlotte again. I think you've got Montreal. Like you've got, I went through their schedule of like, again, foreshadowing my heel purchase talk, but I looked through and like the next 2 months, it's literally 80% of their matchups are like plus spots. You know, for guys that you would want. So for like Boo, for Heel, for Busca, for legit owners, like those type of guys that are going to be, that really can hit their ceiling with decisives, like it's a really good run. So New England, I would make sure. And then a little mini run here, starting with Charlotte at home for the Union. There could be essentially some spots for U23 people. Julian Carranza seems like he's kind of locked in that role. Someday we're going to get Daniel Gazdag. I think Kai Wagner gets his first decisive. And I would even call it this weekend. I think Kai Wagner's like overdue for a decisive. But Philly, just a really good spot home for Charlotte. I think they also like follow up. I want to say it was like with Miami. It's like 3 really soft matchups here in a very short amount of time. So Philadelphia, another group of guys that you could target, you know, maybe for short-term SO5 reasons. All right, so that will do it for all the content. I'm going to quickly, because it's my show. The funniest thing is like when I started the show out, I didn't want it to be like much about my gallery, right? But then I get like, I really appreciate this, by the way, for people that are listening. Like I in my head, I was like, okay, like 2 people are going to watch the show. And it's been more than that. So that's really cool. And got to interact with a lot of people that, you know, I've seen your names out there. Like I've seen your lineups. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then, you know, get a message from them. And it's just awesome to interact with this community. So I am going to just talk about the biggest purchase of my time on Sorare. I acquired Carlos Gil today, which is awesome. The smile is still because of the purchase. I don't know if I overpaid. I actually, at this point, I thought I would care. I really did. Like I've been contemplating this. PSU fans and Laird and Lairdinho, they both can attest to this, but I have been contemplating the Carlos Gil purchase for like a month. And, you know, I was like, I remember he was like listed for like 1.6, and I'm like trying to negotiate these guys down to like 1.5 and stuff like that. And it's like a month ago. They both get swooped up because there was no sales that high at that time. And like, just felt awful. He drops like 90s and 100s. I watched one of the game and I'm like, dear God, this is painful. And I didn't want to pay 2 ETH for him. I started offering people like 1.9 and they all said no. With this ETH rise, prices dropped a little bit. Saw a really good player have him for sale, like really good gallery. You know, so I sent him, I thought it was a fair offer. He declines right away. He tells me, you know, he's not looking ETH only. And I'm like, all right, well, not really liquid of 1.7 right now, or even if I want to do it, like I don't feel that comfortable. Like, you know, is there any sort of trade arrangement we can do? So we end up settling on 1 ETH. It's a lot, for sure. Alejandro Puzzuelo, who I picked up for 0.3 a couple weeks ago before I was running good form. Then I actually watched him play, and I was like, oh, my God. You got big Puzzuelo. Like, and I thought the reason for the buy was like, you know, once Insigne comes, I really thought he'd kick on, but he's playing well, but I don't know. I just like wasn't like enthused with him. And Pablo Ruiz, who's been awesome, who was on stock up. I had 2 copies of it, and I bought it at like 0.69, so like, or 0.069. So this was a chance for my investment to get in for Carlos Gil for 1.4. So that was like if you watched the Sorare, I don't remember if Laird did it on the Sorare Andrews or if he did it on the strategy show, but it was like his Atlas trade for Vargas. You know, was it right or wrong to think in like what you paid for a guy? And I totally found myself doing that to like justify that it's not that big of like an overspend or anything, but it's going to be awesome. Like having Carlos Gil in my gallery, like, you know, you could argue that right now, like over the summer, he's the best card to own on the platform. Probably like he and Sashinya are by far the best cards to own over the summer, depending on what happens with Julian Alvarez. And even when Europe is going, like with these matchups and just what a talent differential Carlos Gil is over the rest of MLS, like it's just I'm hoping that it's a glorious card to own. So that was my thinking behind it. Feel free to share your thoughts and comments, or reach out to me on Discord at GatorGuy231 or on Twitter at GatorGuy231. Would love to interact and keep growing this. All right, that'll do it for the show. Sorry if it ran long. Hope you all enjoy. Give us a like, subscribe, and a thumbs up if you do. And with that, I will say, see you.